Play ball!
If they don't win, it's a shame. It's 1-2. They fight you out of the old ball game.
Tito, Round Trippers here. Talking Tribe with Tito, episode 2. Couldn't have gone much better. Thanks for joining us today. Game 1, picturesque day for baseball. 7-0 shutout victory. Great performance pitching and hitting. I guess Stephen Vogt said that we were very active and engaged in our simulated games this week, and that really helped us stay sharp because rust has been a big issue. A lot of these teams with buys in this new format the last few years have been taking a hit a little bit, and so we weren't out one of them. We came out and hit the ground running. So, Tito Round Trippers here with Tito Talking Tribe. You can also find me on the Honest Abe Sports Report every other Tuesday, and this is an on part of that cycle at 7 p.m. So I get some programming notes out of the way while we're talking programming. Again, this is a heavier week for Abraham Drinking. We got Talking Tribe with Tito right now as we speak. That's going to be every Sunday at 8, as long as we are in the playoffs. Tomorrow and every Monday, live from the Lincoln Lounge, the Abraham Drinking Show. That's general content show, and that's every Monday at 6 p.m. And then Tuesday at 7, the Honest Abe Sports Report. Boy, that's going to be episode 7 already after our pop-up show. So that'll be a fun one. That's a whole panel of sports enthusiasts. We have an NFL and college game of the week, and of course, we will continue with a lot more Guardians coverage, because as it falls, this episode was between Game 1 and Game 2, and the Honest Abe Sports Report is going to be right after Game 2. So Game 2 tomorrow, 4:08 p.m. We got Matt Boyd versus Tariq Skubal on the hill. It's going to be a good one. We're up 1-0. We fared fairly well against Skubal. Our record in his relatively young career is 2-2, which for the ace, winning the pitching triple crown of strikeouts, win, ERA, for the heavy hitter pitcher Skubal's turned into, for us to be 2-2 against him, we fared a little better against him than some other players at least, or than some other teams have at least. So it's good to have that Game 1 in the books. This is a best of 5, so 10 wins away from the promised land. Platforms to follow us. YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Apple Podcasts. In addition to this being on Facebook Live right now, obviously. So we are widely accessible wherever you get your podcasts. It's going to be a heck of a playoff run. Don't get caught leading off second base. Watch your chase rate. Mind your P's and Q's in this 2024 pennant chase. We got 3 AL Central teams and the Yankees left in the bracket. It's the division series, meaning fighting to get to the LCS. So today it was just the NL in action, and then in the AL, we have the 2 semifinal rounds. We are up 1-0 on the Tigers with Game 2 tomorrow at 4:08. And the Yankees, in a seesaw affair that I think featured 5 or 6 lead changes, are up 1-0 on the Royals in the respective AL best of 5s. The only series with 2 games in the books. Castellanos walked it off and salvaged a split in the Phillies' first 2 home games of that Mets series. So Phillies-Mets is 1-1. Just getting underway is Dodgers-Padres. I wanted to mention a nice pitching matchup. If the other big sports event on right now doesn't really flip your switch, we've got playoff baseball. 1-0 Dodgers in the series on the virtue of Shohei Ohtani homering in his first career postseason game yesterday. It is Jack Flaherty, deadline darling acquisition of the Dodgers, versus Yu Darvish, very venerable playoff pitcher. I know for a fact he had clocked a handful of playoff wins for the Rangers about a decade ago when they were hot and heavy in the AL playoff race a lot of years. I know they lost a good World Series to the Giants in the early part of the 2010s. So That's going to be a great pitching matchup. Little old bull, young path type thing going with the starting pitchers there. Like I said, Jack Flaherty finally coming into his own in his prime versus Yu Darvish, hoping he has one or two more big playoff moments left in him. Darvish is a guy, when he's dealing, he can eat up 7 innings like that, whether it's a playoff game against a playoff lineup or what. So that's going to be a great game, I think, and we'll see how that goes in that tense affair. 3 of the 4 division series right now are tense regional rivals. Us in Detroit, only a couple hours away, obviously. And then you've got Philadelphia and the Mets, division rivals on the East Coast. And then Southern Cal division rivals, Dodgers, Padres. So we got some hotly contested division series. We'll dive a little more into that, the breakdown of our 9 shutout innings and the Boyd versus Skubal matchup. I thought I'd talk some rosters and bats here for a little while. Knew there'd be hard decisions for the postseason roster. Hitter-wise, Angel Martinez not on the postseason roster. Sort of surprising. He was our number 2 hitter for a while. You didn't quite know if he'd be the left field, the center field, the DH, spotting someone at third or second base with a day off. But Angel Martinez, now these rosters are allowed to change and fluctuate series to series, but Angel Martinez not on the roster of note. That was a big position player omission. Also, Ben Lively on the pitcher side. I know we're talking hitters, but as far as omissions, no Ben Lively. I guess Ben Lively will be in the rotation. We're considering adding a 4 starter, and it'd be him the next round, but not in the rotation or on the roster even this round. Gavin Williams and Joey Cantillo are. Lively isn't. Tyler Freeman, as far as the opposite of omission, surprising guy to make the grade. Got sent down towards the end of the year. He did some good for us leading off for a while when Quan was hurt. Played a better defensive center field than we really expected. A premium defensive position for someone converting over there. So that was that was good. He had his moments. A couple other guys I was eager to see get a shot throughout the year. I didn't really understand why he stuck with the big league club as long as he did. So, in the hypercritical Monday morning quarterback department, mostly happy with this division series roster. Could have done without Freeman being on there. We already got Schneeman on there. Will Brennan to back up Elaine Thomas in center field if need be. That was a bit of a surprise. Hopefully he can be a good pinch runner, defensive replacement, whatever we have in mind for him, and prove me wrong and I'll eat my words. But that was pretty surprising as far as the hitters go. Some quality at bats right off the jump yesterday. It was great to see. We scored 5 runs before we recorded an out. Interestingly enough, the Diamondbacks did that last year in the division series, and they used that to springboard them to a sweep of the Dodgers, and they went all the way to the World Series before falling a bit short of the Rangers. So we really wanted to start strong, and you can't start much stronger than putting 5 runs on the board before you even record an out. Horton started for the Tigers. It was a bit of a bullpen game, and it got to the bullpen even faster than they wanted to, thanks to our fast first inning. David Fry batted second. Believe it or not, the wealth was spread so much that David Fry was the only gentleman with a multi-hit game in our lineup. Elaine Thomas with the big power hit with the 3-run homer in the first inning. And then again, going back to David Fry, a nice, making sure dagger when we were already cruising and up 5-0 in the mid to late innings to make it 7-0. Fry had yet another hit and drove in a couple more runs. So real quality at bats. On the subject of bubble roster hitters again, big Christmas, Jokenzie Noel on the Division Series roster in the lineup yesterday. He had a good game. It was quiet on the stat sheet, but he did what he had to do out in the field. He drew a walk, and then he had another at-bat that should have turned into a walk or a hit. He got a pretty unfortunate call from the umpire, so he is watching his chase rate. I don't know if that was his only strikeout, but It was a fluky one, that one. It was a particularly bad call. The home plate ump, in my opinion, made a couple of bad calls. Luckily, we had jumped out to that 5-0 lead before any sort of questionable calls came up. So ultimately, it was no harm, no foul. You know, sometimes in these blowouts, the umps are guilty of a little time to go home call where they'll move things along in the favor of the blowout victim, not to prolong a beating like that. But anyways, 7-0 impressive victory. Didn't let a couple bad calls from the umps slow us down even a little bit. Happy Big Christmas is on the roster. I think he's going to be a scary pinch hitter most games. We just started him game one just to make sure he was acclimated and stuff, and think that he's going to be that power threat off the bench. So we'll see. Will he be the most feared hitter off the bench in this playoffs? Probably not. I hope so, maybe by the end. But he will be someone that can hit it out of the park, that will give the other team something to think about in the later innings when we're mixing and matching quite a bit. On that front with the offense, let's get ready to see a lot of Austin Hedges, just because Bo Naylor, you know, still is hitting around the Mendoza line. So we're going to be pinch hitting a lot for a catcher, whether it's Hedges or Bo Naylor starting. So, and on the same note, Schneeman too for Rocchio, as far as with Rocchio being a light hitter. So it's going to be tough. We're going to see more at bats than maybe we want from Daniel Schneeman and Austin Hedges at the bottom of the order once we start pinch hitting and mixing and matching. You know, essentially Hedges is the only backup catcher and Schneeman is the only backup shortstop. So that's going to be a necessary evil, especially, you know, bringing in guys like Novell to pinch hit, or Brennan if he doesn't start, to finesse the matchups and stuff. So it's going to be huge what kind of contributions we can get from the traditionally light hitting parts of our lineup, catcher, shortstop. I have faith in this offense. We finished the season pretty strong. We look really good. You know, like I said, we fared better against Skubal than most teams. We've got this 1-0 lead. Let's hope we can keep scoring about 4 runs a game, give or take, which doesn't sound like much, but when you qualify that with playoff baseball and tougher staffs and stuff and our lights-out bullpen, that should get it done more often than not. On to pitching and the roster moves. I already said sort of surprising, Lively not on there for now. Like I said, these can adjust, but not for now. There is no Lively on this roster. Excuse me. Rookies, second round pick last year, Andrew Walters and Sabrowski both made the roster. I thought maybe it'd be a one or the other thing, but they're both on there. Walters got the call a little later than Sabrowski. Walters 8.2 shutout innings pitched. Sabrowski 10.2 shutout innings pitched while with the big league club. So, boy, in the volatile world of bullpens, if you have 3 relievers that you can really count on, you're doing good. And we had 4 great relievers this year between Clase, the Cy Young candidate closer, and rookie sensation, would close on a lot of teams, Cade Smith. Couple of huge years. Hunter Gaddis, this was still technically his rookie year, came up huge. So we already have that, you know, make it a 6th inning game when Smith, Gaddis, and Clase are dealing, and then Sabrowski and Walters on this roster. We are ready for anything. Now, we used pretty much our most reliable relievers yesterday. Smith got the win because we pulled Bibby at 4 2/3. Struck out all 4 batters, so he really rose for the moment. A lot of people worry about rookie relievers the first time they step in, especially, again, the volatile bullpen world. You give up a couple of base runners and run in a key situation, especially to start the playoffs, and that pendulum of your confidence can go downhill like that. But Cade Smith was ready for that moment and then some. Credited with the win, rightfully so. 4 batters, 4 strikeouts. Bibby was pulled after 4 2/3. So our bullpen had 4 1/3 shutout innings. Again, usual suspects, just the NL today. So even with this not being a travel day, it was a day off. 4:08 game tomorrow, game 2. And then the travel day, there's always a day off. So no game again Tuesday. So that kind of works good for us. We can align our bullpen as we wish. And Bibby can start more or less game 4 on normal rest, assuming a game 4 is necessary. Again, this is best of 5. We're up 1-0. So best case scenario, we could be going for wrapping this up at 3:08 Wednesday's game 3. The 2 games of this series in Detroit are Wednesday and Thursday, game 4 if necessary, are in Detroit. Now that Wednesday is a 3:08 game. I don't have the time handy for game 4 and game 5, but game 2 tomorrow, Progressive Field, 4:08 p.m. Then the requisite travel day before game 3 is in Detroit at 3:08 p.m. Wednesday, and whether, I don't know if the times to be determined, but game 4 is Thursday if necessary, and then travel day, and then game 5 if necessary would be Saturday at Progressive Field. But with Cantillo as an extra lefty, Gavin Williams on this postseason roster for this series, I swear we carried a pitcher more than I kind of thought we would, especially Francona, our previous manager, always favored carrying extra position players. But we have got some pitchers this round ready to match up for just about anything. Game 2, got to get past their ace and likely Cy Young winner, Tariq Skubal. But we are the home team. We got the best bullpen, and we've got Matt Boyd, who's really had himself a heck of a bounce back year. I obviously I'm a bit biased. I'll put him up there with anybody for comeback player of the year consideration. I mean, it's been amazing what we have done with this staff. I've said a few times before between Bibby, especially Boyd and Lively, people not really relevant this decade in the big leagues, and to bring not one or two of them back into being a very prominent and effective pitcher is very impressive. Alex Cobb on this roster also starting game 3. So we got Boyd tomorrow versus Skubal. Cobb game 3. It's anyone's guess who the Tigers will start game 3, really, if it is announced. My apologies, but Casey Mize is listed as like their 4th or 5th starter. He's really their only other starter with any sort of pedigree, and then it's sort of, they got a Montero guy I don't know much about. He could be a candidate for game 3. They've been doing 20 to 40% bullpen games ever since being sellers at the deadline. It's scary to think how good they'd be. They sold Jack Flaherty at the deadline. So, Cobb coming back from injury, 36 years old, and then we're running back Bibby. So you can be worried about our pitchers a little bit, but after Skubal, the Tigers are really smoke and mirrors. It's kind of crazy. Of the 4 teams left in the AL, you could really only say top to bottom reliability. The Kansas City Royals are the only team left with a reliable, deep, reliable rotation all year. So it's really anyone's guess how this is going to shake out with these pitching matchups. Alex Cobb did pitch terrific, coming back from a long layoff before, so that is encouraging. It was already done. We got him from the Giants. He didn't even make his season debut until around August 1st or so, if I remember right, and it was brief return, but he hit the ground running and was ready and effective and efficient. So have a lot of confidence with him in game 3, especially considering the Tigers don't have much to counter with. It probably will be that Montero gentleman. I didn't spend a ton of time on their rotation. All I can say is it's pretty much a mismatch of like journeymans or not quite ready yet guys, really, after Skubal. Now, Skubal's a hell of a weapon, and obviously he gave him a leg up on the Astros series. Luckily, the more games, to a degree, an ace is diminished a little more, so Skubal isn't quite as big of a weapon in a 5-game series. Especially don't let it get to game 5. Close this out in 3 or 4. And then we don't even see Skubal again unless it's like desperate on short rest, game 4, with their backs against the wall. So I'm feeling good about this. Of the 4 remaining AL teams, certainly the Royals have the best rotation left. it's safe to say the Yankees have a better rotation than us. You know, we don't have a Garrett Cole, so even though they have some question marks after Garrett Cole. But right now we're playing the Tigers. We're up 1-0 in a best of 5. We got a lot of mojo going. We're playing good as a team. We're executing well. Like I said, behind the scenes, quality at bats. Stuff that could have been walked or hits, called into strikeouts like the Noel at bat. I like how we're playing. We've got the 1-0 lead. We're playing the Tigers right now. We do have a better rotation than them and a better bullpen than them and most days a better lineup than them. I mean, we do have a better lineup than them, but that's the only place they're, I would say, comparable with us. Interesting stats for the Tigers. Made it to the playoffs without a 25-homer guy. A lot of key offensive milestones. You know, no 300 hitter, no 25-homer guy, no 100-run guy, no 100 RBI guy, this and that. But highly regarded prospect Spencer Torkelson was in the minors a lot of the year this season, and he's back and figured it out a little bit. Riley Green's a rising star, in addition to Tariq Skubal. So this isn't an opponent to fear. This is an opponent to respect. You don't take anyone lightly in the playoffs, especially someone who's already survived a playoff series. But I'm pretty confident we can close this out in 4. You know, we're the home team. We're supposed to win this. Tariq Skubal's a badass pitcher, so let's win this in 3 or 4 games. See who's waiting for us in that ALCS. Like I said, that's going to be a good one. The Yankees took game 1, but Garrett Cole didn't look dominant and unhittable. It was just a seesaw affair, many lead changes, and the Yankees were left standing with the lead at the end of that one. So that one's 1-0. This one's 1-0. Over in the National League, we got Mets-Phillies 1-1. Dodgers 1-0 in that series over the Padres with Game 2 just underway. So we're into Major League Baseball's version of the Elite Eight. And it's going to be an awesome playoffs. Loved the start yesterday. The energy of the crowd, getting the bats going, jumping out to the lead, not looking back. The pitching being every bit as good as the hitting, even though obviously in a 7-0 game, first your brain jumps to hitting. But man, the pitching was good. So whatever the heck we did not be one of those shaky, rusty bye-week teams. Those apparently were some spirited and active simulated games. So, yeah, we covered the roster. Like I said, tinkering between rounds. Let's hope there are more rounds for the Guardians, and let's hope there's a roster to tinker with as we reset it for future rounds. I don't think we've heard the last of Angel Martinez, whether it be for Tyler Freeman or who else. Ben Lively, another guy lurking that was left off that could go on for injury or ineffectiveness of a pitcher. So that's something a little interesting, is hopefully we get closer to closing out the Tigers here. Again, busy week for Abraham Drinkin'. We have the Abraham Drinkin' Show, 6 o'clock tomorrow, Monday at 6 p.m., Abraham Drinkin' from the Lincoln Lounge. And then I will be with a panel of sports enthusiasts, the Honest Abe Sports Report, Tuesday, 7 p.m. at the Lincoln Lounge. Enjoy your sports Sunday, everyone. And let's keep this momentum going and close out this series with the Tigers and move onward to the LCS. Tune in next week for Tito Talkin' Tribe.
Play ball!
If they don't win, it's a shame.